Hello, everyone. I'm Mandisa Johnson with Atlanta Film and TV, and today we're talking with the creative and entrepreneur, Tina Fears. Hi, Tina. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me on.
Can you share with us about who the creative Tina Fears is and provide us some background?
Yeah, the creative Tina Fears is a singer, dancer, actor, visionary, someone who comes up with ideas or concepts to do things, projects, collaborations, and I am an executor. So from coming from just a history of growing up in a creative environment, navigating what, finding yourself kind of looks like and really finding my way back to my passion as a creative artist. So that's just all encompassing the show and the business, the business side, being able to get to the bag. We love a coin. We don't want to be a starving artist. And then the show, just loving being able to utilize all my God-given gifts to present art to the world.
Wow. So you're kind of like me. I do the entertainment side,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I also love like the art. Not a dancer, of
Mm-hmm.
course, but more like being in front of the camera sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, can you share with us about the Fearless movement?
Yeah, the Fearless Movement is, man, that's my passion project. The Fearless Movement is my service organization, and it is my way of kind of taking my testimony and putting feet to it, or hands to it. I think hands are better because when I put hands to it, they're able to serve and give back. So the Fearless Movement is just my way of encouraging specifically young women ages probably about 17 to about 24 is that sweet spot, to be fearless in the pursuit of what sets their soul on fire. And we know life circumstances, finances, low self-esteem. There's so many things that can create fear, that can harbor and cultivate fear in us. And so the Fearless Movement is just me, being transparent with my experiences and my journey of seeing so many roadblocks in life, many things beyond my control, and how you can navigate those things and end up doing what I'm doing now, which is really trying to use everything I have, again, that God has provided me with, and present that to the world with no hesitation, no way of being held back, because I'm fearless in doing so.
Wow, that's awesome. That's an amazing story. So
Thank
can you
you.
share with us how you were introduced to the arts?
Yeah, I was introduced to the arts by my parents, by my mom and dad. We're from LA, and most people who are, my parents are not originally from Los Angeles, but most people who leave any smaller city in the country and either go to LA or New York, they're pursuing the arts. They want to be stars. They want to be in Hollywood. And so my parents are both from Ohio, but they both moved to Los Angeles differently. They didn't know each other there. And my dad went, with that early 70s wave of people who migrated to Los Angeles trying to get a deal. You can't get a deal in Ohio, in Akron, Ohio. If you're trying to get signed, you need to head to the West Coast. And of course, New York has evolved, but New York was so theater and Broadway driven. If you wanted to kind of be on that contemporary front, you went to Los Angeles. My mom went to LA after my grandmother moved, just pursuing the entertainment industry and modeling and fashion and all that. They met there, created a family, had me and my sister. And so my dad was doing a lot of songwriting and producing. And my father was my first vocal coach. Like I can remember sitting at kitchen tables and he would do a run and I would have to mimic his run. Like he would run the note up, he would run the note down. So people who know me, like runs is kind of like, you're gonna get a Tina run, because that's how I started to sing. And then my sister, she's 2 years younger than me, we would sit in the car in the back seat and start to harmonize. And my dad was like, oh, okay, y'all can harmonize, so sing this. So our favorite thing to sing was like the old Coca-Cola commercial. So there was one like when Tyrese was on the bus,
Mm-hmm.
and then there was one of like a group of like 4 girls that would sing, and me and my sister would sing that together. So I got bit by the industry bug just as a little kid because I didn't know anything else. Some people, their parents were really big into education, and that was the environment. I grew up in a creative environment where we would sit around as a family and draw and paint and make stuff, and just any type of way where you could use your creativity. My sister's a master cosmetologist. She's a master educator and owns a salon. She's been curling Barbie's hair since she was 4. So we were just always in an environment where whatever we kind of took too early, our parents encouraged us to do that.
Wow. Well, that's amazing that your family's from Ohio. I'm from Ohio myself. I'm
okay,
from
what
Columbus.
part?
Columbus.
So I have family in Cleveland. I have family in Akron. I have family in Columbus. My uncle owned a men's clothing store. I think it was Morris Road. I don't even know if you know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For many years. He since has moved his business to Charlotte. But my aunt and my cousin still live in Columbus, Ohio. So my cousin graduated from Findlay, and we went to, a couple years ago, we went to his college graduation. Like, Columbus was where we went for summers and holidays and stuff. So it's good to know.
Right. Wow. Okay. So how did you go about pursuing your creative career?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it's kind of an interesting story because considering the spiel I just gave you, it just would have sounded like Tina was doing talent shows and pageants and, trying to do all the stuff. I got introduced to the downside of the arts industry. I saw failure. I saw what it looks like when you have a hit record and what it looks like when you don't have a hit record, and so that kind of turned me off. So I really kind of left making that be my thing, because I saw what it did to my family and my home environment, and the disappointment and how unstable it made things. It was like, when we were up, but man, when we were down, we were struggling, and I just, as a child, it kind of traumatized me. And so I did not really pursue the arts again until really in my 20s, when I started my business, Stage Ready. And even with that, it wasn't to put myself in front of the camera. I chose to go behind the scenes. I felt like behind the scenes was safer. I feel like behind the scenes would get me to more money, because I learned through my parents' experiences, the people who making the real money are the producers, are the directors. It's not the artists. I learned that at like 10 years old. When you talk about owning your masters, and the people are, on social media now talking about, like, I own my masters with their chest stuck out. That means you can always eat. You can be signed and have a deal. And if you don't own your masters, your label could sell your masters to somebody else, and you trying to penny pinch off of that. So I didn't really come back around to it until I started Stage Ready. And Stage Ready was started as a choreography, casting, creative direction company. So Tina's a dancer. Tina knows a lot of people in Atlanta. We can find background singers. So it was still the stuff that I did, but it was just a safer way to still keep my hand in that, because I had so much knowledge and a passion for it, but I wasn't putting myself out there to really carry the weight of the success on my shoulder. I would rather be somebody else's person making their stuff win. So I don't know, I probably went down a rabbit trail. I've been on Clubhouse a lot. So, we go on rabbit trails and deviate from and leave leave the question. So I don't know if that answered it for you, but I came back around to it. I came back around to it from a business approach. And then about 5 to 6 years into the business, I found myself back to the stage.
Wow.
Yep. Wow. I found myself back to the stage. And it was because I was ready to, I felt like I wanted to give myself a shot. My confidence was up. I saw, I saw that I was successful in getting other people stage ready. And I wouldn't call the company Stage Ready if I myself didn't know that I was always stage ready. At the drop of a hat. You want me to sing? Let's sing. You want me to dance? Let's dance. Give me a side, let's act. So the idea was to always make sure that my clients, BET Celebration of Gospel, I never forget working with Smokey Norfolk and how important it was for him to make sure that he and his son were stage ready. Like, they kept me back 2 extra days in Chicago to make sure that they were ready. And when they finally did the performance, it ended up being one of the most memorable performances of Celebration of Gospel. Was him and his little son performing, because people know Smokey Norfolk as a crooner sitting at a piano. I had Pastor Smokey Norfolk dancing. He had choreography. He had dancers. It was just
Wow.
amazing. He was in a leather jacket and boots. It was just a whole different look for him. And it was really successful. So yeah, that's how I got back around to it.
Wow. So, how do you balance being you're a consultant to being talent to
Mm-hmm.
maintaining a family? And what is the day in the life for you like?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I'm in my office space and you can see these post-it notes. I just put this on my stories like I'm back to that. So being let's do the show in the business first and then we'll loop the family piece in. The show in the business part is I try to present Tina Fears like she is a brand, just like I would a client that Stage Ready was working for. So it was really important for me to find a team that understood both sides of who I am. And a lot of people would ask me, are you an agent? And we have agency elements, but we're not an agent because I'm trying to book stuff. I'm trying to audition. And I believe an agency should be able to be completely committed to making sure their talent has what they need. So I'm blessed to be represented by Gill Talent, and it's great to have a great team who understands all of who Tina is and not putting me in one box because being a multi-dimensional artist and someone in the kind of triple capacity, singer, actor, dancer, your representation has to know who you are and what you are and what you stand for. So balancing that all has really meant having a clear idea of what I want for myself and having very clear goals and being okay articulating that to my team, making sure that my team knows, okay, well, this is not a good fit for Tina because that's going to conflict with her business and the type of clients that she serves on the other side of the coin. Okay. So that is something that I think a lot of emerging artists kind of struggle with because they're still trying to find their identity and you just want to be available for everything. And I've had to learn how to say no. That's another part of balancing the artistry and the business. A couple of years ago, I was really heavily doing theater, which was great. And theater is what helped me get reintroduced from behind this side of the table to the other side of the camera. And the theater was where I was able to get cut my teeth again, get my chops back up, get back dancing and all that good stuff. But what was happening was I was blessed to really start doing commercials while I was doing theater. And, when you do theaters, when you do theater or musical theater, when you book a role, the audience is coming to see you in that role. They don't really want to see your understudy.
Right.
And so what was happening was I was constantly running into this thing where I would almost have to go into these jobs like, I'm gonna need an understudy because Ford called me for this. I have to go to Tennessee, or I need an understudy. I gotta leave rehearsal early. So I kind of had to make a decision to say, okay, Tina, your TV and film desires are starting to now push in front of what you're enjoying in the theater space. And because I honor the craft so much and I appreciate my fellow artists, it was hard when I did Simply Simone when I had to leave a show and a cover had to come in because there were only 4 of us on stage the entire time. We were telling Nina Simone's story. And we were such a tight-knit unit. It's not like a big cast of 25 people. Like if I'm not there, if Nina 3 is not there, the show is off. If Nina 1 is not there, the show is off. So I had to kind of make the decision of that balancing, all right, Tina, you're going to have to make a decision on theater because there's so many shows, there's so many rehearsals. And if you're going to start creating, building up momentum on this side, you're going to have to put the theater down. So I made a decision to step away from theater and start putting work into building myself as a television and film actor. And it's taken some time to build momentum, to get used to self-taping. We're in the pandemic phase now where, we were self-taping in the Southeast anyway because we're a secondary market, but now there are no in-person auditions. Like you're doing your callback on a Zoom. And so after kind of building up some momentum there, having a great team with Gil, we've been able to start booking, some stuff where I can say, okay, I'm glad I took that time away from theater because now I can be available when they say, hey, are you available for this? You need to block off 2 weeks for that. And then you need to block off 2 weeks for that. So looping the family component in, I have a wonderful village. My village being my mom, my sister, my in-laws, and of course my amazing husband, who believe in my dream, who support it. And so it's really important for our son, Micah, he's 9, that whatever mommy is doing, doesn't disrupt his life, you know, and making sure that we have a team of people, our village, that understand that and able to make sure he can get to school, make sure he can get picked up. Even with my business clients, like when I take contracts now, it's like I need to leave every day at 1:30 because I want to be in car riders to pick my son up, you know, and I'll get back to I'll get back to your stuff later. So I know that's not realistic for everyone, but it is something to aspire towards, especially in the type of space that we're in now. So balancing is about, ultimately for me, I'm a very faith forward person. And so we're gonna make it three things. It's putting God's will for your life before your own. It's having a clear understanding that things happen in season and in time when they're supposed to, and never losing who you authentically are, trying to fit like the mold that you think you're supposed to fit. And that does mean sitting in this same space I'm in now on that gray wall, taping for like a year before you get something, you know, or that means, like I always say, cutting teeth, or, you know, kind of sharpening your tools in the theater space for 3 or 4 years until you can get ready to start jumping over to the other side. So it's faith, and then just all the other stuff I just said.
Wow, that's amazing. So I listened to one of your interviews where you discussed moving to Atlanta from LA when you were younger. Mm-hmm. What brought you to Atlanta, and can you share with us what that experience was like?
Yeah. What brought me to Atlanta was my parents said we moving to Atlanta. What made them move to Atlanta is being burnt out by the LA industry. It's what a lot of our friends do. They go to Los Angeles thinking that it's just a, you know, popcorn popularity, and it's not, you know. And so after being there, my parents, of course, they were there long before my sister and I were. They just got burnt out, got burnt out by the rat race. The industry had changed. The sound of music had changed. And they always, and let's talk about the cost of living, how expensive it is to live in LA, and you can get so much more for a house for money. You can get so much more house for the money, I guess is the proper way to say it, here in Atlanta. So it was a culture shock. It was a culture shock. I'm from Van Nuys. I'm a Valley girl. I didn't have the Southern drawl that I have now, that little Atlanta thing on there. It was very Valley, and my sister and I, it was funny. I was in a room on Clubhouse and they had a colorism conversation. And I was just saying how I didn't really understand that until I moved to the South, because being from Los Angeles, you're in such a diverse environment constantly. There's a greater Latinx community in LA than I think there is anything else. So my sister and I, a lot of times, were the only Black kids, in our classrooms. All of our friends look like the United Nations. Like, we went to everybody's birthday party. That's why I eat all kind of food, Korean food and Japanese food. And I eat everything because I grew up around all of that. So it was a culture shock moving here. We moved to the Stone Mountain, Lithonia area. So it was like, hey, Shawty, hey, it was that type of environment. So it was a culture shock, but it was something that, even though we grew up in like a really diverse environment, my parents were always pro loving our Blackness, understanding our Blackness, maybe on some pro-Black stuff. But we got the foundation to understand and appreciate the beauty of everything that people had to offer, and how we were our uniqueness was a blessing. And so coming here in the paper bag test and, dark skin stuff and all, it was just really eye-opening, so even when I hear women telling their stories now, I'm like, wow, my dad called me Miss Black America every single day as a little girl. We played with Kenya and Kiana dolls. Like we had baby dolls that look like us. I've gleaned from what my parents taught me in broaden my perspective, because like I said, we live up in the Gwinnett area, and we have, multicultural kids next door, a white girl next door, Korean across the street, Indian over there, Haitian here, Korean down there. So my son's experience is very different from mine. Like, him growing up in Georgia it's not the Atlanta I grew up in, right? So, plus we were on the east side too, so it was a culture shock. It was a culture shock because part of me always wanted a different world. That's why I went to HBCU briefly. I went to Clark because I always wanted to experience that. But I also wanted to make sure that my son got that diverse piece that I did growing up in Los Angeles, because I didn't want him to think that the world only looked like you. I wanted you to have a true appreciation for who you are, what you look like, your culture, your heritage, your people, but also be able to be enlightened, you know, as to what the big picture is. If you want to win in this world, you got to have a big picture view. You can't be thinking with blinders on. You got to have a global view. That's even for artists and creative. You can't have a just Atlanta idea of what you want your brand and what you want your impact to be. You have to have a global vision for what your impact will be and what you want your brand to look like.
Wow, that's sounds just like me. My son had an opportunity to travel to Prague, Czech Republic.
Wow.
I told him when I was in the 9th grade, I was an exchange student in Denmark, and it opened my eyes to the world, and, you know, gives me, like, we think differently. So you're right. You're absolutely right about that. So can you share with us about how you turned your back on your gift of the arts, and can you share with us how you were led to continue on your path?
Yeah, I turned my back on it. I kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier. Just fear, you know, fearful, seeing failure, not wanting that to be my life. And as much as there were things that were beyond my control as a child, I was always really intuitive and would internalize stuff. And so it was kind of like, oop, that plus that equals that. I'm staying away from that. I ain't got nothing to do with it. And so plus life happens. I mean, can we be real? Like failure, disappointment, struggle, lack, it just turns you off. It stops being about the creativity and the art, and it starts becoming about survival. So survival for me was not singing a song, was not dancing a dance. Survival for me was go to school, go be a teacher so you can have stability. That was turning my back on my gift, was going to Clark Atlanta University, majoring not in arts, not in drama, education. Not even to go be a music teacher, not to go be a dance teacher. I was trying to teach social studies. Like, so that was me turning my back on my gift. And you know, I'm giving you a condensed version. But it was really, I cheered at Clark Atlanta. Like, it was just nothing. I wasn't in the Philharmonic. I wasn't in the gospel choir. Like, I was in none of this stuff coming from this musical background. I was known in high school for singing. It was just like, I'm over all of that. But I had to transfer from CAU because of the funding. We know HBCUs are expensive. I was on financial aid. You know, my sister was 2 years younger than me. And so I was like, okay, Tina, that might have been your dream. That's clearly not what the Lord had for you. And I always, to this day, still rep CAU. I'm going to always be HBCU proud. I have wonderful relationships with people at Clark Atlanta. But I had to do something else. And that's when I started my business. That's when I started Stage Ready, because my life was crumbling around me. Everything I thought I could do to set myself up for a win wasn't working. It didn't work. You ran from what I gave you. God said you ran from what I gave you, and you built this world. You built this whole experience, and it still didn't work. So are you going to trust me now? I said, Father, I don't have any, what can I do? I can't do anything but trust you. My family life is crazy. My parents are going through things. I have a sister that's behind me. But I do know in the midst of it all that you called me to something wonderful. You told me before, as a child, I put you on this earth to be great. The masses are going to hear from you. People, hundreds of thousands of people are going to be impacted by the gift I've given you. I knew that even when my stuff was falling apart, even when I couldn't pay tuition, even when, you know, I mean, come on, college is for real, especially if your family you don't have a home to come home to on the weekends. Nobody cooking, and, you know, because they were going through they were dealing with other stuff. So that's how I came back to it. I can sing, I can dance, I can act, I'm organized, I like people, I can sell anything, I can market it. So I put it all together and called it Stage Ready. With $100 in a dream, I started my business. I gave my services away on Craigslist, MySpace, Facebook. You need a choreographer? Oh, I see you doing a music video. Can I cast it for you? And I met people, you know, started working with people like Dietrich Haddon. We were able to do stuff for various churches. We did music videos, you know, and then the list goes on. So then you start adding, now you're doing BT, now you're doing MTV, now you're doing this church, now you're doing that church, and continue to snowball. So then it started moving from music and started moving into beauty brands. So for a very long time, I worked with a very large beauty brand as their senior event coordinator. And I'm helping you do your campaigns for Target. I'm helping you put campaigns for Sally Beauty. I'm helping you produce your World Natural Hair and Healthy Lifestyle event, 30,000 attendees, all under the Stage Ready motto. So the thing that we did with Stage Ready was we made sure we constantly brought in new contractors, people like Tina, who had an idea for their own businesses. So instead of doing what I did, which was working for free, now you get paid to learn how to run your stuff. You get paid to learn how to be a project manager. So that's how we kind of turned away from it, and that's how we came back to it.
Well, you answered my next question, so I'll move to the next question.
Okay.
How do you balance your faith in working in the film and TV industry?
That's a good question. We're really kind of like getting our feet into the film and television. Just got my first major film credit. We just wrapped in October with Genius Aretha, so I'm excited about that. But the journey to that has also had to be very faith forward. And that is the type of roles that I audition for. I remember I mentioned my agency earlier, having honest conversations with them about what fits with the brand, you know, what fits with there's a show that's on television right now that I auditioned for, multiple roles on that show, and stepping back, seeing it, I was like, okay, Lord, I see why that wasn't it. It wasn't that I wasn't talented enough. We know casting is very specific anyway, but for me, that wasn't what you wanted me to do. And then I turned around and ended up booking Genius, which is great because the role that God blessed me with is just 10 times over what I could have asked for. So balancing my faith is just, I mean, you know, you have some people who, I'm a very visual person. They want to hit you over the head with the Bible. You know, they want to come into the dressing room, thus saith the Lord, a prophetic word. And that's not true to who I am, but I do believe you can see the light of Christ and you can see the joy of the Lord in how you interact with somebody. I got one of the most beautiful compliments from the lady who was over our hair department on Genius, and she called me a diva. And she said, "You're such a diva." And she said, "Nah, not that kind of diva, because you are kind. You never said anything. You came in here, you sat down, you let us do our work and create our magic on you. This is like as we're rapping." And it just filled my heart, because a lot of times people think diva is, oh girl, what kind of hair is that? What you know, and all this kind of stuff. She said it was your humility. It was how kind you were to us. It was how professional you were. That's what the women who have staying power in this industry, they have that type of demeanor. And that, to me, that's being faith forward. To me, that is being okay standing in who God called you to be. It's not always the loudest voice in the room. And it's just how you deal with people, you know, how you deal with people and knowing what you stand for, what you represent. Family is important. You know, you're going to see my son, you're going to see my husband, you know, we're going to be very clear of what time it is. And being okay to encourage and uplift others, because it's such a cutthroat industry. You know, listen, the industry itself makes it where we're constantly being pitted against each other, because it's not really a lot of opportunities. There aren't a lot of opportunities for Black people, period. I'm just going to say it. And then the opportunities that are available, you know, they start typing us. You know, you're going to be sassy girl. You're going to be the angry girlfriend. You're going to be the cheating wife, you know. So that's that whole conversation. So, you know, for me, it's just really understanding that God is in control, man. And when you audition, you know, and you get a no is not good enough. A no means this is not for you right now. It could be not right now. It could be, I got something better, you know? So there's just a lot of things that go into that. And I think had I kind of came back to the arts younger, it might've been a different challenge, but I've lived some life and experienced some things. I'm just really okay with however it shakes out. My faith is so big, you know, that I can go 6 months and not do anything and know God has something great in month 7, and I can be okay with that.
Wow. That's encouraging.
Yeah.
It's very encouraging. Can you talk about what your new normal in your career looks like in light of the pandemic?
Yeah, new normal is in this cubby that you see. I don't know if you can see it. It's, you know, my workspace is here. The space that I'm in now, I have a self-taping wall here and lights and stuff set up. And a lot of it's in my home, you know, so I have, you know, the 2 computers on the desk, and, you know, the stage ready stuff happens here. I can tape there. The new normal is understanding that things may not ever go totally back to the way that they were before. And when we filmed, we were in shields, and that was a whole thing. You know, you're in testing cycles. You know, you're being COVID tested in cycles. So some shows you get quarantined, and I know Netflix is quarantining people for 10 to 14 days before they can go on. We were on a testing cycle. So every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we got COVID tests. That's new normal. That is scenes that used to have, you know, 300 extras in it, maybe now have 75. That's a new normal. That's, you know, the director of photography and the visual teams are having to be creative in how they capture things, because you can't just get this big wide shot of a church packed with folks. You got to kind of strategically place people. So that's different. You know, it's different in the trailer setup is not hair and makeup all in one big robust thing where you got 10 actors lined up. It's like, it's a hair trailer. It's spaced out, you know, 10 to 12 feet a piece, only 2 people in there. So things are a lot more drawn out. I like the busyness. I like all the people and all of that. I love that. That's like, yeah, we here, we working, you know, so that was a little bit different. New normal at home is we're all here. You know, my husband's a teacher. He's in his office. My son is in school. He's got his office in his room. So we're on top of each other a lot. I haven't been on a date in forever because everything is just, you know, we're just in this bubble kind of. But man, I appreciate being able to slow down. That's new for me. New is sitting down somewhere, you know, and being able to, you know, eat a meal and cook. You know, I love to cook, and I was doing some stuff on my stories where I was, you know, cooking through COVID, and I would cook different stuff and share it. That's been a new normal. You know, it used to be so go that me and my husband would be ships passing through the night. So I have a greater appreciation for time with my family. I have a greater appreciation for, you're tired, take a nap.
Right.
You're hungry, eat something. You're stressed out, go to the gym, you know, whereas I feel like I was always on somebody else's schedule, especially with, you know, the last contract that I was on. So that's the new normal for me. What's your new normal?
Well, I have 3 kids.
Okay.
I have a 16-year-old, and I have a 13-year-old, and I have a 10-year-old. 10-year-old has Down syndrome.
Okay.
So I'm pretty much in class with her virtually, and starting at 8. We learned that she couldn't do too much like online stuff by herself because she has to be doing. But we've also learned that she's getting a lot through language now. Her language has really expanded. She's still nonverbal, but she understands.
That's great.
So she enjoys speech therapy. My son still has marching band. So he's in the Decatur High marching band. I think they're in the finals. They have a game tomorrow, but it's an away game, so they don't go on away games. And my husband is a teacher. Well, he was a teacher. He's still in the school system, but he's a PBIS coach. Culture and climate. I'm not sure exactly what that entails, but he does trainings. That's all I really know.
Right.
And then, like, for me, I've been able to expand on my Atlanta Film and TV. Started the pandemic with 500 followers. Now I'm close to 2,000 followers because I'm
congratulations
blogging. Thank you. Constantly blogging and, you know, meeting new people like you virtually. Whereas before I was just emailing people the questions, having them answer, and then them send them back. So it was never really like a relationship formed.
Yeah.
So that's my new normal. I get a nap in here and there. Again, like you were saying, like cooking, like I've switched from being pescatarian to vegan.
Okay, wow.
April, yes. So
we got to do a whole separate talk on that, because I've tried it. And I can do it because I can go without meat. But I think my body is like, is it like a withdrawal phase or something you go through when you start taking stuff out of your diet?
Well, I started off really slow. I stopped eating red meat and pork in undergrad. So that was like in 98.
Okay.
And then I gave up meat for Lent, and I tried to eat it after Lent, and I got sick, and my husband was like, "You're officially a vegetarian." So I was vegetarian from like 2014 till 2020. Okay. But I would still eat like fish. So I was like vegetarian, pescatarian, and then I ate some fish during the pandemic, and I kind of got grossed out, and I was just like, let me try this. So I started gradually.
Yeah. Well, good for you. My little nieces, I think they're like 12 and 8 are both vegan. Their mom has been vegan, and people always, how you get your kids are vegan? They don't know anything but what she gives them, and they're healthy and good to go. So I have a freezer full of vegan snacks and vegan chicken nuggets and vegan stuff. I'm pretty much, like I said, I'm an adventurous eater, but I make sure I keep a stash for them. So whenever they come over, they're not just down to salad and fruit. They have some hearty stuff. They can have a burger. Don't you hate when people, that's all they think, okay, what you want, some salad or fruit or pasta? It's like, nah, give me something else. I want a burger. I want how you spell the vegan chicken sandwich?
I think it's with the K, if I'm
with the K. Yeah.
Yes. And there's a lot of vegan places that I found. I followed one place on Instagram, and like 5 different places popped up. It was a vegan taco place, Chi-Chi's Vegan Tacos. It's on Northern Avenue. And I tried it. I showed my husband, and we tried it the next day. It's so good.
Is it? Have you ever had Tassili Raw Reality? Have you ever had her wraps? Yeah. Let me tell you something. I will drive from Egypt to Alaska or Egypt to the South Pole for one of her wraps. They're so good. And I get it so big so I can like eat it for like a day and a half or 2 days. Man, oh my God, it's the best. I'm like, now how I gotta go all the way to the West End to get me a vegan wrap? They're good though. So congratulations to you. So you've seen some good things come out of your new normal. Your numbers are up. You straight up vegan. It's good.
Yes, and I don't talk about it much. I talk about, there's a friend that we interviewed in March who has an animation. I don't know if you've heard of him, Joshua Leonard. His animation is about it's a cartoon about special needs children who have superpowers. So we've been talking with him about it, but I have an animation that I wrote 4 years ago. I was in graduate school, and I had to take a writing animation class, and we just expanded on it. So I went from having a 1-page, a 10-page, 1-episode animation to 9 episodes.
Wow.
So it's currently being shopped around. So we're trying to get it picked up. I have like the renderings of characters. So that happened during the pandemic too.
Well, if you ever need somebody to voice for you, keep me in mind. Definitely. I'll be happy to voice for you guys.
Definitely. I listened to some of your work on your website.
Okay, yeah, I would love to. That's like one of my favorite things. Congratulations. That's wonderful.
Congratulations to you. Can you talk about what you're currently working on?
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of service. I co-founded an organization called Blacked with 2 other actor friends of mine, and it's Black Leaders Advocating Cultural Theater. And it's like another part of the Tina Fears brand. I mean, we're in here on 2 computers, and we're in the process of, we just announced the finalists for a short film festival that we did. We're really big on where art and advocacy meets. And that is something that artists in Atlanta have not had, specifically in the theater community. They haven't had somebody that will be a voice for them when there are injustices, when there are things that are unprofessional, when there are things that are not culturally sound. And that's what Blacked was founded to do. But we're really like 50% service as well. We're so passionate about serving the Atlanta, the homeless population. We've done back to school drives with the Andrew Young YMCA. And so we're doing the Short Film Festival, which is, of course, highlighting Black artists, strong Black leads, Black writers. So you have to be a Black writer and have to be located in the Southeast. We're giving out $2,000 in cash prizes, breaking down depending on how they place. And then that's like the art side. So we're investing in filmmakers. But then the service side is we're in the process of doing a huge holiday drive. And we just confirmed that we're going to be servicing Kimberly and Continental Colony elementary schools in Southwest Atlanta. So we're doing a drive-through toy drive for them. And our organization is found in that. So that is really me through the end of the year in the service space, you know, with our film festival and working on this holiday drive. We partner with a theater, Roar Theater up in Lawrenceville, where I live, and then have asked them to mirror their efforts in Gwinnett to also service Southwest Atlanta. So working on that from a service standpoint. And then Stage Ready is won a Facebook grant as a small Black small business owner. Wow. So we're going to be working on some programming, just some teachable things, because so many people have got the SBA loans and grants. They kind of had an idea for a business, got the money. It's like, oh, okay, now what am I supposed to do? So we're going to kind of do some coaching through that Facebook grant opportunity in 2021. So I'm working on that. And then we did a lot, Stage Ready did a lot of live event stuff. There won't be any live events. So we're just introducing ourselves to a lot of our clients as being able to support their digital event activities. And then auditioning, because I'm ready to be on another TV show. So that's what the next, the next phase looks like. But it's really good to just kind of grow. I love Clubhouse. I've probably mentioned Clubhouse 4 times since we've been on here. So I got on a couple of days ago. And it's a great space for thought leaders. It's a great place for people like yourself to just pose a topic to the room and encourage different people to come in. There's panels that are going on there. And it's really in the beginning phases. It's only like maybe 150,000 people worldwide that are on this platform. And so you're able to have conversations with, Ava DuVernay has been in rooms with us. I was in a room with Tyrese yesterday. You know how it works. So I'm enjoying what Clubhouse has to offer. And Christmas is my favorite time of the year. So we're doing, just stuff around the house for the neighborhood and all that good stuff. Looking forward to 2021, but I'm not mad at what 2020 has taught me.
Right. I'm
not mad at it.
I agree with you on that. Right. Wow. Can you share with us what would be a piece of advice you would have for someone like yourself that has multiple gifts and talents in the entertainment industry?
Yeah, I would thank you for that question too. I would just encourage people to treat themselves like a brand, for real. Treat yourself like a brand. Treat yourself with that same care and that same detail and that same attention to every element that you would, if you were launching a hair product line. If you had a hair product line, you would care about how it smelled. You would care about the color of the product, the bottle, the color of the label, how you market it, how you present it. And I tell people all the time, once you identify that you want to make your mark in the industry or whatever field you're in, your email address, your social media handles, you have to have consistency where that's concerned, because what happens is over time, that stuff starts building up, it starts populating, and then you can become searchable on Google. I'm sure, I don't know if you did, but when people like yourself want to check receipts on people, we get to that computer. So that's what I mean by like that, having that broad vision for yourself. It can't be, one dimensional right now. So that would be kind of a technical gem I would give to people. Just start establishing yourself on all platforms, whatever you want to be known for. Start making sure that stuff is consistent. And then the other side is just be so in tune with who you are authentically, the authentic person, because at the end of the day, all the rest of the stuff can fall away. You got to be able to come home and look at yourself in the mirror. Don't sell yourself short trying to get in on whatever the fad is, because then you'll end up living in a space of regret. So, I would tell someone like myself, man, just know at the core of who you are, beyond the bad stuff, beyond whatever may be a temporary successful moment, be in tune with who you are on the inside, because at the end of the day, that is what's going to continuously come up, and you have to be okay with that. You have to be able to push that thing forward, and be fearless. Be fearless in the pursuit of what sets your soul on fire. And usually that gift is what's setting your soul on fire. It's what wakes you up at night. It's what, you know, when you see other, it's what moves you. It's what motivates you. You know, people talk about vibes and energy and stuff all the time. Meditation, I'm not knocking anybody else's stuff. Some people meditate, I pray, you know. And I'm not praying to the universe at large. I'm specifically praying to my Heavenly Father. That's what works for Tina. And I'm okay with that, you know? So I think we got to be okay standing in what works for us, because other people stand in theirs.
Right. That's true.
They stand straight up and down in whatever it is. So if you know, if it's opposite of what you believe, that's okay. Just be okay standing in what yours is, because there's a testimony behind it that's going to help somebody one day.
Well, amen.
All righty.
So can you share with us how people can get in touch with you? Can you share your social media handles as well as your website?
Yep. Now I would be hypocritical if my stuff wasn't consistent, right? So on all platforms, it's Tina Fears. It's on Tina Fears on Instagram, Tina Fears on Twitter, Tina Fears on Facebook, Tina Fears on Clubhouse, www.tinafears.com. You can reach out to me, shoot me a DM if you have a question about anything, if you want to connect, network, whatever it is. It's Tina Fears.
Well, thank you so much. It was good to chat with you today.
This was great. Thank you for having me. You have a beautiful spirit, a great vibe, and I